Welcome back to Midday. That is right. It is time for Pillow Talk, where Dr. Kristen Mark answers all your questions about sex. She is an expert. She's a sex and relationships researcher, educator, and therapist. We love when you're here.
Thank you. I love coming.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Today you're going to talk about something many people may be familiar with, some maybe not so much. Hookup culture.
Yes.
What
So
is it?
what is a hookup culture?
So hookup culture is the idea that it's acceptable and or promoted even to engage in sex without the relational component. So more casual sexual encounters. And there's been a lot of discussion about hookup culture becoming more and more popular,
Right.
which we don't really necessarily have the data to support. It just seems that it's more discussed, at least. So maybe it's not more often practiced, but at least people are talking about it now.
So is this like if you're on the dating scene,
Yeah.
people don't want relationships, they just want that quick hookup and then move on to the next one?
That's the idea of hookup culture, yes. Yeah. And it's, on college campuses, for example,
Right.
much more common because people are focused on their studies and maybe don't want a relationship, but they still want their sexual needs to be met.
So is there a huge age difference, like say late teenage to 80? I mean, is there an age there?
Anybody can engage in casual sex, and I think a wide variety, a wide age range of people are engaging in casual sex. So there's not really like an age limit on this.
Okay, so it's one of those, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can use like the apps and all that.
Yeah,
So
of course,
there's-
yeah.
Well, let's talk about the apps.
Yeah.
Are these the dating apps? Do some of them, are they more susceptible that it's going to be a hookup? How's this
Yeah,
work?
So some of them have like that reputation. Some
Right.
of them have certain reputations. But I will say, as long as you're communicating about your intentions and your expectations for what you want out of it, then you can really find any range of things. You can find casual sex on dating apps, sure, but you can also find long-term relationships through dating apps. I've been to 2 weddings that were from Tinder.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I think as long as you're communicating your expectations around it and being clear with the person that you're hooking up with, like, what do you want out of this?
Right.
Is this casual? And if so, great. If you're both consensually casual about it, then it's
Well, let
a great
me
option.
ask, because this is weird, and they make fun of me, but I don't really know how these apps work. So do you just send a message saying, like, hey, casual sex, or do you just, how do you introduce that?
Yeah, some people do, but you have a profile on there, and so you can make it really clear that like you're
Okay.
just interested in casual sex, you're not interested in a relationship, or you can say, I'm really interested in finding a partner, like a relationship, so you can specify that way, and then most of the apps have like some sort of a swiping characteristic to them, and so
It's like the ones you swipe left and you swipe right. and all that?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, and so you can
You can
do
tell we know nothing about that. We're like, girl, you got to tell us what you done here.
Everybody's like, you need to get on the apps. Well, with these, can problems happen? I mean, what if the 2 people aren't on the same page, but they start out thinking they're on the same page? Sometimes feelings.
Or even if it's like
catch some feelings.
catfishing and all that. How do you know?
Oh,
that it's,
yeah.
So that is a different, like with online dating, sure,
Yeah.
like you're gonna maybe run into
Right.
that. With casual sex, in terms of negative outcomes, we don't, as long as you are upfront and clear about your expectations, as I mentioned, that
Right
is
from the beginning.
Right from the beginning, and continuing to have that conversation. Like, you might catch feelings,
Right.
you know, and if you do, then talk to that person about
So
that.
you should
Right.
say something.
You should say something, yeah, and have that conversation.
That's
and just
an awkward conversation. Maybe,
Yes,
I've heard.
it can
Maybe.
be.
Well,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I find a lot of it to be in awkward position. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't. But it's still there.
Yeah.
And we, it's one of those things that people use. So.
Right.
Yeah, and we do see that like people so some research that we've done has looked at emotional and sexual satisfaction derived from different types of relationships. Because casual sex can encompass like a one-night stand. It could also be like a friend with benefits. And there's a whole range of different types of casual sex experiences. But there's we're seeing that people are deriving emotional satisfaction, not just sexual satisfaction from these relationships.
So-
maybe not as much as in as in a
Sure.
longer-term relationship,
Right.
but they're still deriving
True.
So the
satisfaction.
negative connotations, not so much as it may have been at one point.
I think so. It's becoming more accepting to engage in casual sex.
So it's become more of a positive thing then. There's the
as
negativity is
long
really
as
kind
you're
of like
honest with yourself.
That's the
casual
number
sex
one thing.
isn't for everyone,
Right.
Right.
So like if it doesn't resonate with you, if that's like not something that feels good to you, then don't do that. But if it is, and if you do get like emotional needs met in that way, then it can be okay. It doesn't need to have this stigma attached to it.
Right.
Well, Dr.
Yeah.
Marks, if somebody wants to talk to you about this before they engage in it, because it's always easier to deal with it before it happens,
Right.
how do they get a
Yeah.
hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my website, kristenmark.com, and yeah.
Help you through.
She'll help you through those apps and which ones is good and ain't bad.
Be
Yep.
careful with your swiping out there, but it's not good or bad. It's all how
Yeah.
you do
It's
it.
all, yes, it's
All
all
how you play the
communication.
game.
There you go. Well, we love when you are here. Thank
Thanks
you
for having
so
me.
much
Thank
for
you.
talking it
Thank
out
you.
with us. Check out her website. Get a hold of her. She'll help smooth things over.
Yeah.
She can help you.
Stay with us. Midday Kentucky will be right back.